is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?
No.
All right, guys, welcome to the BuzWeaver channel. How did you like that intro? The President, Joe Biden, or I should say the establishment-appointed surrogate President Joe Biden, has, under his leadership, met yet another failure. Now, President Trump had negotiated a deal for a May 1st deadline. Now, naturally, I'm always kind of hesitant and skeptical about these things because you never want to tell the enemy when you're leaving or what you're doing. We saw that all the way back in Desert Storm when CNN was going to sue Schwarzkopf and Colin Powell for they alleged that they were intentionally misled. Well, of course you were, because the Taliban, well, the Iraq at the time could watch CNN, so they would have known what was going on. But Taliban warns of attacks on U.S. troops after withdrawal deadline under Trump deal passes. So, of course, we're on YouTube, so I'm not going to be able to read certain words or mention certain things as a result of the AI. But, of course, we knew that the deadline was going to happen on May 1st, and then the Biden administration took over, and they wanted to renegotiate a deal. The problem with that, of course, as we always talk about when things become, or when you're dealing with different cultures, we can't apply a Western ideology, a Western philosophy, moral ethics, and worldview because they don't align with our particular ideologies and philosophies and a Western view. So essentially, in very simple terms, which is what we do here on the BuzWeaver channel, I get straight to the point, and that is that when the deal was broken, now granted, the Middle Eastern group there, that I can't mention by name, knew that, of course, they would go in after the May 1st withdrawal. Because, of course, if you tell your enemy that you're leaving, they're just going to wait you out and then go in. So Biden apparently tried to renegotiate a deal to either do a slower withdrawal or to try to negotiate something with the provisional government there in the Middle East. Or in Afghanistan. I think I can at least say Afghanistan, and I can even at least say Kabul. So, of course, what we have today is Biden will give a speech on the Afghanistan collapse Monday afternoon. That's 3:45 here at Eastern time. As of this recording, it is noon Eastern time, so we've got a few hours before this speech will be released. But this comes, or should come, as no surprise to anyone, and we see, for example, here on Twitter, there was a lot of Joe Biden stuff trending. But, of course, the Twitter Otzi is always trying to ensure that Biden's name does not appear in any negative way. And, of course, I've got 12 notifications because I got into a rather interesting dialogue over the weekend, which is quite interesting. But this all goes back to what we have talked about from the very beginning. And it's important to revisit this particular topic. Why Time Magazine Shadow Campaign Story is Frightening. After reading Time Magazine article, The Secret History of the Shadow Campaign That Saved the 2020 Election, incidentally, that link was not working yesterday. It is now working. Here it is. It's now working again. I have it linked in a video that I did as well. So I'm second guessing if we're even living in a democracy today. Maybe it's a post-democracy America. I don't know what's next, but it ain't right. If you're late to the conversation, the article was a doozy. Even for hardcore political people like me. Basically, the journalist Molly Ball revealed how the 2020 presidential election in America was really won through a secret plot to help surrogate-appointed Joe Biden. Now that there is no chance of overturn, it's safe to tell all. Now, he may feel safe to tell all, but you guys know this because we went over this particular article. And it was very revealing. There was a conspiracy unfolding behind the scenes, one that both curtailed the protests and coordinated the resistance from CEOs. Both surprises were the result of an informal alliance between left-wing activists and business titans. The pact was formalized in a terse, little-noticed joint statement of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and the AFL-CIO published on Election Day. Boy, did the AFL-CIO make a mistake. Both sides would come to see it as a sort of implicit bargain inspired by the summer's massive, sometimes destructive racial justice protest. Riots would have been a more appropriate term, but of course, if you're writing a 6,683 worded, snarky, spiking the football in your face article, you're going to, use all this clever verbiage and language in which the forces of labor came together with the forces of capital to keep the peace and oppose Trump's assault on democracy. Trump's assault on democracy. This is all code language right here, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, the article is filled with very revealing information about how there was an intentional organization by a cabal of people to fortify an election for a desired outcome. So, interference. So for 2.5 years, we had to hear the whole Mueller investigation, which was Russian interference and or collusion, I should say, because I had to end up going with interference. It's a whole other conversation that I've had with many different people. It was collusion. It says it in every article that you read. Most articles that you read, it says Russian collusion. They're even denying that the word collusion was even involved because, of course, any time the left is back into a corner, they have to just redefine language, redefine meaning, and that's what we're seeing here. Polite society gave the left an inch, and now we are where we are today, particularly here with this. And another point that I was making to some of these individuals on Twitter yesterday was why was I suggesting that what's happening right now is most of the fault of Joe Biden? Well, in a way, I suppose it isn't Joe Biden as much as it is the establishment. But I was able to find this particular article, which was very specific to some of the things that they were asking me. Inflation is surging under Joe Biden administration, as we can see here from the Bureau of Labor and Statistics. From the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, I gave to this person. Gasoline increased 45.1% in the past 12 months. Energy, 24.5% in the past 12 months. And as you can see, just a continuation of point by point. So when these individuals were asking me, what about this? What about that? And of course, it's just like a question continuum because you present the facts and they just don't accept the facts. I had someone actually tell me, I don't care what the facts are. Joe Biden is president. Trump lost. It's basically what they say. So the whole thing is a bite your nose to spite your face, burn down your whole entire house and neighborhood, not realizing that you've burned down your own house and your entire neighborhood because they just couldn't have Orange Man Bad back in the White House again. And this is what we have. It took 20 years for the United States to get a foothold to establish, or 20 years for the United States and allies to get a foothold in the Middle East, to get some sort of stabilization in Afghanistan. And it took the Taliban 1 week, roughly, or you could even say 72 hours to take Kabul. But 20 years of us being in the Middle East wasn't a total failure. Wasn't like, it's, completely the end of the world, as it were. But what we're seeing happening here today in the United States under the establishment-appointed President Joe Biden is just, I don't know what to tell you guys. It's like I said here in this discussion yesterday on Twitter. These individuals, you're posting a Jack Posobiec and calling it an actual news source. Man is 100% far right with supremacist grifter. And so it doesn't matter how you present facts, how you present information. No amount of information is going to change the fact that these individuals clearly have already made up their mind that it can't have Orange Man Bad. So an evil enemy will burn his own nation to the ground to rule over the ashes. And that's, I think, exactly an excellent point that Maxine Mack is making because, obviously she was following the conversation that was going on. And I sometimes question myself why I even engage because it's just a complete waste of time. These people perceive themselves as intellects. They perceive themselves as intellectually superior. They see themselves as the moral arbiters. And if you're not on board with them, you're an idiot, you're dumb, because they always operate from a position that everyone is dumber than they are. And so you get involved with this, you present these people with all the information they ask for, and it doesn't matter how much information, how much fact you present, they're always going to find somebody to disagree, or they're going to come up with some line about, how I'm sourcing this person or sourcing that person, but they can source, they don't even have sources. They don't even present solutions. And that's the thing about the Democrats. They can, excuse me guys, they can point in 6 different directions and show you all the problems that are going on, but they don't provide you with any solutions. They like chaos. They like disorder. They like people they like people walking on eggshells because they want to be perceived as the only ones with the solutions. Well, give us some time. We'll come up with a solution. They never do. All they do is continue to blame constantly. So later today, we will see the establishment-appointed surrogate president, Joe Biden, attempt to have a speech, which he's probably been rehearsing and practicing because, as I understand it, as of today, earlier today, there was another media lid. And so between Biden and Kamala Harris, we're not really seeing a whole lot. And you would think, I guess I closed out all the images I was gonna share, but you would think that there would be more information, a more responsive action on the part of the president, but we can't really anticipate that. He needs time. He needs lots of time to prepare. He needs lots of time to prep. They're not going to put Kamala Harris anywhere because Kamala Harris's credibility was completely shattered when Tulsi Gabbard put her in her place during the debates. I mean, that was the end of Kamala Harris in any political sense, outside of the fact that, like Biden, she was selected by the establishment. And this is where we are. This is where the country is going. And if we think that the inflation is bad and just things are going bad now, we just got started. I mean, Biden has only been here 6 months, and look where we are. In just 6 months, this is where we are. We still got him trying to make this big COVID push, bullying people, intimidating people, using all of these absurd tactics and hiring TikTok influencers to do videos to make getting vaccinated cool, incentivizing people while never telling people to consult their medical professionals. But this is where we are. So this afternoon at 3:45 Eastern Time, we will hear from the White House, and this is the latest breaking news that I wanted to bring to you guys today. If you haven't already, below this video, you'll see the links to my various social media websites that you can follow me on. I did do an exclusive video this Saturday on the new video hosting sites. I'll go into why I don't call it alt tech, but suffice it to say you guys can watch that there. And appearing on the screen, that would be the channel icon for YouTube. You can click on that and subscribe, as well as click notifications if you want to know when there is content here on the channel. As I am releasing, I want to say to you guys, I am releasing more of the shorts, so you might see more of that. So I apologize. I try to make sure you guys aren't notified so you don't get too much. And I will see you guys in the next video.